I accidentally created this authentic brand by just being unapologetically me. I am who I am and I'm not who I'm not, take it or leave it.
You're the leader of a 40-member team.
So I started my team by accident. Getting on your local news station is one of the most impactful, powerful things you can do. And they are always looking for real estate takes, always.
This game is called Overrated or Underrated. Artificial intelligence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Way underrated. Yeah.
Holly Meyer Lucas, welcome back to the Luxury Presence Podcast. It's
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Of course. And again, this is a first for us. We're doing a live recording from Los Angeles, Saban Theatre, Social Summit 2.0. We have an incredible live audience behind us watching us speak, and you had an excellent set earlier. Please, if you wouldn't mind sharing your experience and how that went earlier.
Okay, so long story short, my dress became unhooked as I was walking out. The clicker started rolling through my slides and I lost all train of thought. And I think the interesting thing about this is, especially for real estate agents, and I spoke with a few of you at lunch about this, as real estate agents and as business owners and entrepreneurs, weird things happen. It doesn't have to be on stage. Like it can be in a showing where something, for example, if you're like showing a home and the sprinklers come on and there's this split second where, so when my dress became unhooked, like I could hold it together, literally and figuratively. But then when the clicker started malfunctioning, and I'm dyslexic, as I said, and I can't necessarily read my slides if they get out of order, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, as real estate, I think the takeaway is you have to draw the line in at what point you stop what you're doing to do right by the buyer who's looking at your home or the people in the audience. Those of you that were here, obviously all of you guys, like there was a point where I was like, I'm so derailed from my train of thought that I need to stop and like reset. And then Shelton came out and fixed my dress and like we reset and then we went from there. But I think knowing when to power through something. Who's had the sprinklers come on during a showing before? It's the worst, right? But you like make that, like that's bad enough where you can be like, should I turn them off? Should I not? What should I do?
Yeah, thinking on your feet, definitely something us entrepreneurs need to do. Speaking of which, you are the ultimate entrepreneur. You do so many things beyond just being an incredible real estate agent. For those watching or listening who may not know everything that you do, can you give us just a little synopsis?
Yeah, so I started in the corporate world and got my real estate license, as you guys heard before. My real estate career, or my career as a real estate agent spawned several different companies, mostly out of need. So I started my first sub company from my real estate business, which my real estate team has. We have 40 agents. We're in Jupiter, Florida. It's like my OG, as I'm sure many can appreciate. That company and that team is my baby. Like it is my first love. And then I mentioned that during 2020, I went through this shakeup with my team, and I hired actually a chief of staff. And so that spawned a chief of staff recruiting business called the Chief Code, and it's very niche, it's very specific. And then I have a PR company called Hype Boss that I just launched, just launched a year and a half ago, and a real estate coaching platform. Basically, everything that real estate agents need to be supported is where I can't help it. Like I've started a business, and here we are now.
Yeah, you truly carry that entrepreneurial spirit into everything that you do. But let's narrow in on real estate. We talk off camera a little bit about real estate agents as entrepreneurs. And there are so many real estate agents out there who may struggle to shift away from the transaction-based mindset, which is understandable. But you and I feel, and many others feel, that you should begin to kind of bring in more of an entrepreneurial mindset and all those things associated with starting a business, thinking more like maybe a startup founder. Yeah,
so you have to. As a real estate agent in 2025, even in 2015, right? Like, when did you get your license? Before or after the pandemic?
Literally as it started.
Got it. Okay. So I think the pandemic really drew a line in the sand for a number of reasons in terms of what you have to do as a real estate agent to be successful. And it's not actually for the reason why some might think that was the dawn of short form video really becoming a thing. TikTok really became very much a thing. So we have to be content creators. We have to be, literally being a real estate agent is the jack of all hats that you're wearing at all times. And so I didn't consider myself to be an entrepreneur until I started selling real estate, realizing that, even just knowing how to do a transaction backwards, forward, sideways is like an operations thing. There's so many hats that you wear. And I think that I was just talking to Sheldon about this backstage. Real estate represents an opportunity for women in particular, but men and women. It represents an opportunity to change your life, whether you've had a kid, whether you want to reinvent yourself, whatever it is. And I think it's very rare, I think, when you encounter someone who's left college or high school and immediately gone into real estate. And I love that breed. That's you, right?
Yeah, that's me.
I love that. It's amazing.
Crazy.
It's cool. It's really cool. But for the most part, people get into real estate because it represents opportunity. So what it also represents is wearing a lot of hats. And where burnout happens and where people fail is either when they hire the wrong people into those seats, and it gets overwhelming and you can't sustain the payroll that you've created for yourself, or it's too much. Every single one of you who is a thriving real estate agent, you're doing it. Like you being in the room and just being in real estate for 2 years is substantial. Like our industry is tough. It's really, really tough.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What are some habits or systems that you've implemented to help you think more like a business owner and an entrepreneur? Yeah,
so I learned really early on that delegating is like the name of the game. And if I can't delegate something, because I feel like there's this vortex that entrepreneurs get caught up in, this never mind, I'll just do it. So like if I need to have something done, it's like, oh, let me start explaining it to you. And then I realize a quarter of the way into my explanation that I don't trust that you're going to be able to do it, or it's just overwhelming having to explain it. And so then I go, never mind, I'll just do it. Is that relatable? Yeah. That is your telltale that you have got to figure out how to build a system around it. If you ever catch yourself going, never mind, build a system around it. And delegating is, I think, the thing that separated me early on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to touch on systems, and you've built an incredible team. Let's first start with branding, which is something incredibly important for every entrepreneur. How do you approach branding? I know you leverage a handful of tools from social media. You have a website that does incredibly well in telling the story of your brand. Talk to me a little bit about your approach to branding.
Yeah, so I am who I am and I'm not who I'm not, take it or leave it. And that's been my approach to my personal brand. I accidentally created this authentic brand by just being unapologetically me. And short form video kind of helped that with like stories and the way I share things. And branding is, obviously I started a company called Hype Boss specifically to help people with this, because the number one thing with branding, and I spoke about this for, at the beginning of the day, is knowing who you are and being completely okay with it. So branding, we talk about how having a personal brand, like we talk this to death, that having a personal brand is important and you need to have one and blah, 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 whatever. But to actually taking a step back and being okay with being who you are instead of developing a personal brand. Like my real estate company, the branding is loud and it's emojis and it's neon, and I sell very high-end luxury homes by being unapologetically us. So for me, branding, it's such an interesting word because it's such a part of your marketing mix. But as a real estate agent, as an entrepreneur, branding to me is, it should equal just being yourself in an amplified way.
Yeah, absolutely. Authenticity is key. We talk about it all the time, but you really put it into action. What about, investing further into your personal brand or your digital presence? So
to add to that, it's not lost on me how hard it is to do that. And I will say that, I keep playing with that. I will say that it's really, really, sometimes you're too close to the trees to be able to see the forest with your brand. And that sounds so cliche, but it's true. If you struggle with your personal brand, with like what to do and what to hire someone. I have a really good friend of mine, owns a PR company, and she, in 2020, when I went through this like big turmoil, I sat down with her and I was a paying customer and I said, I need you to unpack my personal brand with me. And she came up with a number of different like approaches to like basically pitching back to me who I am. And that sometimes is the secret sauce. I was just talking to Glenna Baker about this. She also had like a personal brand, and she, is the queen of brand, but do not shy away from hiring someone and for asking for help. Because sometimes you can't see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Your friend has a PR company. Hype Boss also does a lot of PR work.
Yeah.
How important is investing in PR to promote yourself or your listings? I know there are agents out there who are reluctant to put money into it. They may not see the ROI, but where is the ROI
Yeah. So my career took off in real estate when I was in the news. And I got in the news because I sold a big home to a big celebrity. And leveraging, so here's what happens. If you're in the news one or two times, what most agents fail to do is legging out the press opportunities that then come from that, especially local press. So getting on your local news station is one of the most impactful, powerful things you can do. And they are always looking for real estate takes, always. You could pitch pretty much anything about what's happening in real estate right now to your local news station, and all of you guys should do this. You should all call the assignment desk and say, hey, I have a hot take on insurance. Who here has a hot take right now about homeowners insurance? Probably all of you. A news station will want to tell that story. But what ends up happening, and this is why I created HypeBoss. So HypeBoss is my PR company / creative agency hybrid. I still need to figure out how to, it's funny, I've owned this company for 2 years now, and we have so many incredible clients. But the elevator pitch, because it's truly a hybrid between a PR company and a creative agency. Because what most agents will do, and most companies will do this, is they'll get a great piece of press, and then they won't leg it out and tell people the story over and over and over again about how they got that press. And typically what that looks like is you hire a PR company, and then you have your social media manager and your graphic designer, if you have one, or your marketing manager, all trying to get their piece of the puzzle completed, but there's no end-to-end connecting all of it. So getting great press on luxury presence, like on our website, which we can talk about, that end-to-end is something, for example, that HypeBoss does. And also with press, it is worthless to be in the press and to get media if your brand isn't aligned with the story that's being told. And I'm saying that because the first couple bits of news that I got was around these big luxury homes. And I was positioning myself online as not necessarily a luxury agent. And I made some really quick adjustments so that when people, I wasn't ready for that type of press when it happened. And I was really fortunate to get it. But yeah, I could talk about that forever.
Yeah, I wish we could. You said something interesting, which was you can pretty much call up these publications or, news stations and basically pitch yourself and get these opportunities for free. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes. And they want it. Like literally, if you just Google W whatever PT blah, 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 and find it's called the assignment desk typically, or a journalist. And it's funny because obviously I own a PR company and I'm spilling the tea that you can do that. You should do that. And you should try to they're always looking for quotes around the housing market, around homeowners insurance, and they want your pitches too. They want them. Like they want to hear from you about, like if you have a great take about anything.
Very cool.
It's free.
All right, let's talk a little bit about your team. So you're the leader of a 40-member team. At what point did you decide that I need to start scaling my business, bringing people on to help you because you have just so much going on?
So I started my team by accident. I went on a listing appointment. I was in the Keller Williams pit when I first got my real estate license. We got a come list me call to the office and no one was there. It was a ghost town. And so they were like, do you want a listing? And I was like, bet. So I go on this listing appointment and I accidentally sold us to the seller as a we. And I was in the business for like 2 months at this point. So then I had to produce a we for this seller because it's what I sold. And I came back to the office. There was a girl who's 19 years old and her name's Savannah. She's amazing. She was my first agent and it just snowballed from there. So I really started my team from day one, but I was and it's important that I say this. I was talking in terms of we, because I firmly believe that as a real estate agent, you need a we. You can't do everything yourself. This is kind of a hot take. Sorry, solo agents. I would never hire a solo agent. Full stop. If I'm sitting here in this room as a solo agent, and I'm saying this because this is a blind spot that I think solo agents have that teams say in listing presentations. Like my team is trained and I'm giving you guys the playbook. Call your local news and be prepared to combat this. In our listing presentation, we will say, if you hire a solo agent, a team like mine, if Freddie is in the social summit sitting in the audience, he's not answering the calls on your sign calls, whatever. So if you're a solo agent, you have to have a plan to obviously there are solutions to that, but that's the biggest objection in there, and it's true. Like I firmly believe that real estate is a team sport. It's a little bit of a hot take, and I'm sorry guys if you're a solo agent, sorry.
Great take. How do you handle recruitment? What do you look for in an agent?
So I've never recruited in my life. Every single agent that we have comes to us, and every week we turn away at least 2 or 3 agents who want to work on my team. And we're very, very specific and strict about the type of agents that we onboard. My chief of staff, I don't interview anybody. I don't talk to anybody. I literally don't even touch it or touch anyone before they are hired. I am the most like, I'll give an opportunity to anyone. And so if I mentioned those 5 things earlier that we hire to, and if they don't hit all 5, then Holly, my chief of staff, will not hire them. And that's important. It's really, really, really important, because if one person misses on one of those 5, and this is the tale as old as time internally at my team, if I try to override something because, it's a wounded bird and they need an opportunity and they're, they follow me on Instagram and they're so, blah, blah, whatever. And I'm like, no, just hire them. It'll be good. The 5th thing that they end up not hitting will be the reason why they end up not being a fit.
For those watching at home who didn't get the chance to hear you speak about those 5 things, can you briefly share what they are? Yeah,
it's our 5 core values. So hustle, muscle. Well, you have to come to the social summit.
Oh, good point.
I'm just kidding. It's 5 core values that are important to me. One of them is you really have to be smart. Like, I care deeply about people in my orbit being smart. So if I say Istanbul, I would hope that you would know that's in Turkey. It's funny, I joke about this all the time. Like the Roman Empire, like the Roman Empire, like that, I think about it all the time. Do you guys think about the Roman Empire? I literally think about it all the time. Am I alone there? You're my people. If you think about it too, you're my people.
Love it. Great advice, Holly. I want to play a little game now, and I want to get some audience interactions here. So this game is called Overrated or Underrated. I'm going to share an industry topic, trend, spice of take, and
Holly Meyer Lucas. Overrated.
Exactly. And I want you guys to shout whether you think it is overrated or underrated, and then we're going to have Holly give her take and defend her answer.
Oh, I love this.
Is everyone ready? Okay. First one. Overrated or underrated artificial intelligence?
Underrated.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Way underrated. Yeah.
Very much.
Yes. Underrated.
Yeah. How important do you think artificial intelligence is going to be in the upcoming years for real estate agents?
So just to distinguish what we're talking about, so there's artificial intelligence, the big picture artificial intelligence, and then there's generative AI. The thing that I think every agent, so there's a whole, we could talk about this for freaking ever, but the thing that's the most important thing is that every single person in this room needs to start thinking about ask engine optimization over search, and so AEO over SEO. Answer engine optimization over search engine optimization. So how you're putting, does anyone here do their own SEO? So you need to start thinking in terms of the answer engine, like the generative AI, how it's looking at your website, how it's looking at your content. And if you Google that, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Awesome. Thanks for that. All right, next one. Overrated or underrated authentic video content?
Underrated.
I very, very strongly prefer, I find myself, I will scroll past something that's highly produced over authentic all day long. Like, I almost refuse to put highly produced content out unless there's a real strategy behind it.
I think that's why you've also been super successful on TikTok, is because you are your authentic self on there, and that audience truly resonates with that.
It's ridiculous. If you look at my TikTok feed, you'll know exactly what we're talking about. It is the most ridiculous. I've amassed a following by just literally putting out thoughts into the ether.
You're in the car driving, cameras here. It's like,
It's ridiculous.
No, it's great. People love it. All right, next one. Overrated or underrated paying for leads on Zillow or Realtor.com?
One more time?
Overrated.
Okay.
I think, I'm not going to say overrated or underrated, because this is where my dyslexia, where I'm like, I don't know what, I love paying for online leads. I think that I will qualify that though by saying that the Google local service ads have kind of messed with I don't believe in pay-per-click anymore, but at the time it was amazing. Who built their career on pay-per-click? I sure did. Leads, for sure. And then Zillow, granted, Zillow as a entity, no bueno, but giving us leads, it's so funny when agents are like, well, they're selling us our own leads back. There's like, did we create a platform? No, the NAR didn't create a platform for us to be able to capture our own leads. They sold it. They sold Realtor.com. So I think leaning into where we're at in the industry, and if you have the opportunity, and I'm saying this because like we don't buy leads anymore. My website literally generates organic leads every single day, like that we don't pay for. It's ridiculous. We could talk about that.
Who runs your website?
So Luxury Presence does now. And let me tell you this. So I built my website personally myself 10 years ago, and I ran it for 10 years, and it was my baby. Like literally it was on Wix and then it was on Squarespace. And that website has made me, I'm going to say this, that website made me a millionaire. Like the leads that came from our website that I made on Wix, and then we moved it to Squarespace. 6 weeks ago-ish, was 6 weeks? I don't know, whatever. A couple months ago, I had to come to Jesus with Malty, and I was like, it's too much. It's too heavy of a lift for us to continue to run this website. The thing that made my website so special is if you Google Valentine's Day Jupiter, you're going to see my blogs and my website come up because our SEO is so strong. And this is all completely organic traffic. So, but I needed it off my plate. The other businesses that I'm running, Luxury Presence does such an incredible job with websites. We needed a better back end. I needed to not be, I say this to my team all the time, I needed to not be the password, which is as an entrepreneur, how many of you have your phones connected to your systems where you need to give the code to your team and it's on your cell phone, but you're in a listing presentation and they can't get in? That's how our website was. So anyway, I had to come to Jesus with Malty, and I was like, I want our website to be on Luxury Presence, but if you mess up my SEO, I will quite literally kill you. And he promised me up and down that you guys, and I'm telling you, the day we moved, so he promised me up and down that they had it together to be able to do this. And this is coming from someone who's really techy. And I was like, okay, I believe you, and also bet we'll see. They migrated my website, and the second it migrated over, we had 5 leads in my inbox. And Malty shared, did you guys see this when Malty shared this on LinkedIn? He says, I couldn't believe it. We had 5 leads in my inbox. And this is not a pitch also, by the way, for Luxury Presence. It's just validating that sometimes you have to cut bait and lean into the system. And that is the obvious one. We see this with CRM all the time. People that are so married to their legacy CRM. Anyway, 5 leads that we wouldn't have captured. I know my website, we wouldn't have captured it on our own. And 10 for 10. 10 for 10. Delivered with bells on.
Amazing. Well, Holly, thank you so much for being on the show. Audience, thank you for interacting with us and engaging. It's been a wonderful time. For those of you watching at home, please like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. All of Holly's information will be down there. All of the Social Summit information will be there as well. And we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Thanks for having me.